Hello and welcome to some more Satisfactory. My name is Trismegistus, and in this ongoing series, I'm attempting to finish the game as much as you can at the moment. And I've had a bit of a rubbish day, so rather than dwell on that, I thought I would just launch into the game about 10 minutes early. So I guess it's probably none of my regulars is expecting this, but what the heck. We are at the steel foundry, and I was originally intending to work on the add-on that will add on, because that's what add-ons do, the aluminium. And there's a load of bauxite over in what I did want to do, just check. This is a bit random. If I ping for nitrogen gas, what does it tell me? Because I had a bit of a problem. I've done a little bit of like moving resources, so we got full stacks of crates. And while that was happening, I noticed there was something weird going on. Is there just no nitrogen? Oh, fine. Where did that come from? Is that nitrogen there? Nitrogen gas. Oh, there's so many things on this. Can I get rid of some of them? I turn all of these off and we'll do that again. In fact, let's keep me on. I wish it remembered what you'd done here, because it always opens it up. I mean, it remembers these, but if you close these down and reopen them, you don't actually... I'll keep the radar towers on. This is a problem. I want to see what resources, don't I? Huh. Unless... Let's get rid of these as well. So if I ping again... I can't do it without... Let's do a couple. I don't know if that does anything. Because basically I'd noticed that the power was going a bit weird. And it turned out that I had failed to connect. I did a bit of tracing back, and I'd failed to connect one of the coals to the steel foundry. But while I was over there, I checked the crates that I've used to basically just store the waste. So this is nitrogen gas here, isn't it? You see, so that... Oh, and there's one there. Okay. Oh, and one up here. Okay. And I think it only tells you 3, doesn't it? Might do a 4th one, but... I don't really understand what these like symbols mean. I think it's telling me it's a pure one, but as I understand it, they have like a central node and an like outer node, so that's why it's got multiple things on it. But basically, it turns out that I've completely failed to explain that properly. Basically, the nuclear power, the crates that I put are getting a lot more full than I was expecting. Well, not as that I was expecting, but the time it's taken. Because there's an enormous amount of storage there. By the time it's taken me to like do anything, they've kind of like, they're about a third full. And so they're going to fill up before, before I'm sort of ready to switch anything on. That's pretty much guaranteed. So I was looking at the old tiers and milestones and all that sort of stuff. And it's not that one, it's the other. I've got 2 milestones left. And one of them... is the one that unlocks plutonium. And the thing is, with plutonium, you've got the option. You can, you can make power out of it, but you've got the option of turning it into plutonium rods. Basically, you take the waste, the uranium waste, turn it into plutonium, and then you can basically sink plutonium into the resource sink. But in order to do that, I've obviously got to do that research. And in order to do that one, it also requires those, whatever they're called, the like modular framey things. These things, fused modular frames. And to make these, you need nitrogen. Because what I was thinking is I could just set, because the requirements aren't that high. I've actually got way over 100, because it's very similar for the other one. But I could just set the main factory going, because we've got heavy modular frames, we've got aluminium casings, we just don't have the nitrogen. So what I'm wondering is if I just set that going, but it means bringing some nitrogen in, and I haven't a clue how to do nitrogen like at all. because it's a gas, basically. So that's what I was just trying to ping for there. It's not going to be a problem anytime soon, so we don't have to mess about with it today. But basically, I came back here to sort of see how I was doing, and the answer was a lot more disappointing than I thought, because I mean, actually, did I do anything here? I think I coloured it all in, because I'd used a different colour, and I decided, no, let's keep it the same. But I've not done any of the underneath bits. You know, there's no sorting or anything. You know, so this is a lot more complete than the next level. So I thought I was doing okay on this, but I then went up to the next level. And as you can see here, I mean, I coloured it in again, but you know, there's not even the power things connected or anything like that. So basically, we're just going to mess about with that. You know, I've only got a few lights on. It's not a big factory, so it shouldn't take too long. But I can put all the connectors in, and you know, it's just the same sort of, let's call it tedious work I was doing last time, because as I say, I don't really fancy messing about with aluminium or nitrogen or anything like that. I say the game sort of, I don't know if I'd call it unbalanced, but it feels more and more like these, what do you call them? Alternate recipes aren't really alternate recipes. That you've kind of got to go and get them, because this is just, I mean, this factory isn't actually, all of this that I'm building, it's not actually going to be that productive. You know, it would take a couple of hours to produce all those things on phase 4, even once this is built. So it's not like this is some amazing factory that, you know, pumps out 1,000 turbo motors every minute or something. You know, it's multiple hours to just build them. And it's all the default recipes, you see. So my conclusion I'm sort of getting up to is that the alternate recipes is kind of the only way to be practical about building, you know, building factories. So in other words, what we might have to do, I don't think I am going to do it, but if I ever do another series, I'll have to do some, you know, and this, I mean, you can kind of get a clue in what this update is called. You know, that's just happened. Update 6 is called the Explorer update. So they clearly very much want a large exploring component to the game. But then that's a bit weird, you see, because some of the stuff they've added is only really unlockable. You know, you can't unlock nukes until you can do uranium. So you've basically, you know, you're roughly where I am before you can even unlock them. And surely if they want people to go out exploring before that, then they've kind of done all that. They don't need nukes. I don't know, it just seems a bit odd. So I'm partly wondering if they're going to do another balance to it, you know, maybe make it even more attractive to go and, whoops, didn't catch that, did I? To go and, you know, get, in fact, these are better done on the deck. But yeah, so I've got, I had a load of stuff in my inventory, and basically all of the boxes down on the ground floor are full. So I'll try and get this to a similar place to where the concrete factory is, I think, because it's not that dissimilar in size to the concrete factory. I feel like I kind of owe an explanation as well as to a rubbish day, basically. The trouble is, I don't think I can explain it really. I had a meeting with a client, I guess prospective client / former client. Let's just say it went pear-shaped, which is an English expression meaning it, a British expression meaning it wasn't quite as planned. Somebody turned up during the meeting and kind of completely derailed it. And well, I probably shouldn't say anything. We might end up taking legal action actually, because They've then done something that I regard as extremely silly. Yeah, it's very, very odd thing for them to do. Very petty. I don't know, as soon as I saw him turning up, I was a bit like, oh dear. This could go a bit strange. And it immediately just went completely bonkers. It was kind of the capping off of a day that hadn't gone so well, because I've been working on a report thing. And it's been proving quite painful to do, because I don't have enough information. So I don't know that I really kind of cracked that report. Still needs quite a lot of work, considering how much time I've already spent on it. I've just put them in, haven't I? I've just done that thing where they're not the ones that can be powered. I've done that before. That was idiotic. Because it's these middle ones that I'm going to power. I did notice here as well, I put this in the middle. So I connected all of the lights to this one, which is a bit different to how I've done it in the others. It works quite well though, so I don't think I'm going to change it. Is that the right? I always manage to do this in the dark. No, that's wrong, isn't it? What's that lined up on? It's the big square, isn't it? Leaning my head back again like I can see around the corner. So it must be that one. Yeah, there we go. And then it must be that one. Okay. Yeah, I have to take these out, having just put them in. Dear. At least I hadn't connected the wires to them all. So it's not that big a factory, so it shouldn't take too long. I thought I'd worked out a way of doing the cables, because you know the cables, something I find a bit painful. It was like double clicking, like that. But you still have to be pretty accurate on it. Oh, there you go, missed that one. And then it didn't do it again. No, missed. I do have some, well, I had some bad news on Friday as well. It's a little bit why I was out of sorts, I think, this weekend streaming. It's a bit weird set of streams, if I'm honest. But basically I had an interview. So I have this thing, and maybe the answer to this is that I'm just not just a really bad interviewer and I need more practice and stuff, but I seem to have this thing where I can get interviews, you know. I'm sort of, and I think a big part of it, and it's sort of the irony of what I want to do, in that most of, you know, the work I do is write about writing, generally speaking, and I think I'm a bloody good writer, certainly in what, you know, what I'm doing. Oh, not very much Katerian, you know, my job, that type of writing. I think I'm actually bloody good at it. It's just, I'm not sure I'm a very, what's the phrase? I'm kind of not a very forgiving person, I guess. I don't know, it's difficult to explain. There's an expression, don't suffer fools gladly. And I'm terrible at that. Sort of, I don't know, it's difficult to explain. It's just when I sort of encounter someone who's basically incompetent at their job. And not, well, not that high. Who's sort of not that great at their job, or doesn't seem to care, or, you know, doesn't know how to do the job, that sort of thing. It's really weird, because I actually quite enjoy sort of teaching people things. It's what I wanted to do with like my YouTube channel. I do tutorials and things like that. But in real life, it's more. I think it's because it's paid basically. So it's like, you know, they've got a job, so surely they should be able to do their job. And when it turns out they can't or don't want to, I just sort of dismiss them. Really, something a problem I've had all my life. Trouble is, a lot of what I do is working for clients, and so, you know, if you get, there's always one at an organisation, isn't there, who, you know, he just doesn't give a shit sort of thing. And so when you end up, they're the person you've got to get information out of. I shouldn't swear like that. Sorry. It can make things a bit tricky. What was quite interesting about this is that this here doesn't seem to bow as low as these. It's probably an optical illusion because of the light in the way. But this, when it goes between two of these, seems to be less down. You know, this, because these are closer, and yet it goes that, you know, deeper. It seems to anyway than this, because that's a bigger distance than that, and yet it's this one that goes lower down. Because if you look here, you know, this is longer than this, and yet this goes, and so this goes further down, because you should expect it's heavier, so it weighs down. But it didn't seem to do it for these, so you almost can't see the cables. So that was interesting. Well, not that interesting, but you know, more interesting than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick, anyway. Right, yes, so we need loads of caterium. What actually goes into the lights? We might as well put the lights in. So lots of caterium and more wires I need. I don't know where anything is here. It's all a bit random. So wires. Caterium, I think, maybe the end? No? There it is. Oh, let's take all of that. Okay. And now, what else was I working with? I've got cables still. I've got loads of cables still. I guess if I'm going to put the floor holes in, get some rods. Yeah, get some more of them. I could grab some plastic, more plastic, because I don't think all of the floor types are done. I was actually thinking, I keep going on about not doing this entirely for fun and stuff. But I don't know, I do sort of, I enjoy it a lot more than anything else I do, which is kind of why I don't want it to be like professional in a sense. I think the fun would go out of it. Plus then I'd have to do things like where I'm moaning all the time, maybe rein that back in, because I don't know if people want to watch hours of me moaning. But when it's just a bit of fun for me. Oops! It's gone in the middle. I don't mind filling the airways with moaning. Yeah, so I had the interview on Friday. It didn't go great because I think I'm actually like a perfect match for what they want, in the sense of like technical ability, positioning, you know, career, type of work required. It's sort of, in a sense, what I'm looking for. But I asked a few, I don't know if you call them leading questions, but questions to which I'd got some suspicions about the organisation and sort of how they are, based on sort of reading the website and some of the things in the job application. So I asked a couple of, say, sort of leading questions. But the response wasn't great. Basically, what they want is to absolutely grind someone into the dirt. Just, you know, completely make them a slave to the job type of thing. Where, you know, they're at the desk 24/7 and everyone's beck and call. And I'm kind of exaggerating that a bit, but it was quite clear they want, you know, someone who's just going to work 60-hour weeks, you know, that type of thing. And I'm a long way beyond that. I can't. It just used to wipe me out doing huge hours. And there was absolutely no. It's a bit funny actually, because the job was advertised by a recruitment agent, and I think the recruitment agent knows how to get people who would be interested in the job, and so they put all sorts of things in about flexibility in the role, and like hours and all that sort of stuff, because I think they know that in the modern world, you know, post-COVID and the type of work it is, that it could entirely be done remotely. But the company doesn't want that. They want someone there at the office. And so he's put all these things in saying, you know, it's a remote job and blah, 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 blah. And then I spoke to a person and no, it isn't. You know, I think they know, I think there's probably a, what would you call it, like conflict in the organisation in that, you know, part of them knows that they got to be more flexible, but the majority is more, no, we want someone to grind into the dirt, because basically their role is replacing someone, and that person has quit the organisation with no job to go to, and not even like looking for a job. And if that isn't somebody who's burnt out, they also sort of moved into it from joining as a graduate, so they clearly didn't really know what the type of job is. So they've burnt them out, basically. They've absolutely burnt them out. And this person's leaving. Easy to get away. And I'm not sure that they fully understand that that's what they've done. But yeah, it was sort of a bit disappointing, because as I say, in terms of what the job is, I think it's what I would want my next step in my career to be, because it's more managerial. But yeah, so I don't think they understand that what they want is a slave rather than a worker. Oh, well, missed. So yes, that didn't go well. But then I got another invite today. So I don't often have that many troubles getting invites to interview. I just then never. It seems to be a struggle to convert it into the work. Maybe they're prejudiced. Maybe it's see a fat person and they must be lazy type of thing. It's not uncommon, that, you know. Hopefully there wasn't anyone here to roll that ranted. I know I went live a bit early. Right, so I tweaked the colour scheme here because these were a different colour. Oops. And so I thought, well, let's make this all the same colour, this factory. Because I don't want to run out of, you know, palette, as it were. But originally, they were this one, I think. Yeah. So you see it's sort of very similar green. I'm happy with the... So in the... Oops, didn't mean to do that. In the, you know, the iron and steel foundry, I have done a lighter shade for the others, but I'll do all the machines like that. I'm not going to do, you know, different colours for wires and cables and sheets. you know, and have them all of those machines the same colour. Oh, I've missed one. I have missed one. But yeah, I suspect the problem with what's happened today, really, is I suspect it's me that's going to get into trouble. Even though we should read them the riot act, basically. So I think it's me that's gonna get in trouble. There were other people there, so they know what happened, but it's that thing. Customer's always right, type thing. Even when the customer is deeply unpleasant. Right. Oh, and a proven liar as well. Not just deeply unpleasant. A proven liar. That in there. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with roofs and all that sort of stuff here. In fact, I'm not actually sure I've got a roof on the top. I think it was where I first realised I could do roofs. So it's got some random pokey-uppy roof thing. Oh, autosave. There's actually a post today on Steam that I was reading just before. Oh, I've run out of. Silicone. Silicone. Cones of silly. I should replace these, really, shouldn't I? I say I don't know if there's a way of removing the coloured concrete. There must be. You know, not removing it, like reverting it. There's got to be, hasn't there? Like a remove style. In fact, I bet this probably won't be here. Why not? Let's just put it in. Yeah, I'd initially sort of intended to do start working on the aluminium stuff today, but don't think I can be bothered with that. So I was just ferrying stuff over here and went up and thought, have I finished the colouring in? And realised, actually, I'm way short of even... Where the heck is the silicon? Got silicon? Oh no, don't say I haven't brought any silicon over. Oh, there we go. Grab something. Anything else? I guess we could take some more cadmium. It's very intense. Demand for deuterium, isn't it? Okay. Let's head back up. I think I mentioned before, my dad. I mean, he's not flatly said so. No, he kind of has. Previous conversations, he thinks I should start my own business. But can you imagine someone who doesn't suffer fools gladly having to, you know, basically lick the bum of a load of customers he thinks are idiots? I'd end up killing somebody, I think. Not lick the bum, kiss the bum. Right, so if I just connect this to here, for the time being, get rid of these random ones, completely random. Okay. Are they all connected with power? Did I do all of them? It's quite a small factory, it didn't take that long to do. I just clearly left it and we went and did concrete instead. Feels like they're further over. Let's just put this first one in and see how it looks. I seem to remember them being closer in. Logistics, conveyor. Let's do this side first. Yeah, that's okay, isn't it? I really like the way it attaches the thing. It's really cool. It's a little buggy though. I'd put some of them on the wrong way round in the stream on Friday when I was sorting out the foundry, working on the copper foundry, iron foundry, and well, I took the split as it was away. The ends of these were still that extended thing and they wouldn't connect anything to them. So I say it's still a bit buggy. Yeah, I think that's okay. I say it seems a bit further out than in the other. Nothing. Probably nothing. It's an update on the Sweet Transit, because that actually comes out end of next month. It's coming into early access, which I think is definitely appropriate given where it is. Not because it was buggy or anything, it was quite smooth, I thought. Actually, I didn't really encounter any bugs, but it's sort of missing, well, seems to be missing a lot. And because it's a solo developer, it always seems harsh critiquing a solo developer game. But it's the wrong way around, isn't it? Oop. Okay. But yeah, it did mention that there's going to be a story, for example. But it sounds like he's focused most on getting the trains to work and signals and that sort of thing. And they were solid, I thought. I think that worked. Didn't really encounter any bugginess. Some UI issues, and they sort of I had some UI issues, and it acknowledged that the UI needs improvements. It sounds like the graphics are due for an overhaul. So it sounds like there's a lot going to change in early access, which is good. Hopefully it addressed sort of concerns I had to it. Hopefully there'll be more like materials and stuff as well. That was my big thing, because if it's going to aid Anno, the thing Anno does that makes it interesting is having lots of tiers of citizens. So it gives you lots and lots of production chains to work with and work on. So you're not just doing, you know, coal and clay and trees, and that's it. You have to do all sorts of stuff. So it kind of needs to add all of that in, I think. So once it works in terms of, you know, being loaded onto trains and all that sort of stuff, that's probably half the battle, I think. There's also an update. I read this over my lunch break about Dyson Sphere program, the combat. They leaked. Well, it feels a bit weird saying they leaked it, because they didn't leak it because it was on their own Twitter, but they put out some concept art for the combat stuff, and it looked really stylish, but it wasn't quite clear what it was. So this sort of explained what it was. It was actually the enemy stuff. It wasn't the stuff the player would build. It was the stuff that the enemy force would build. But it also, I'm actually wondering, because I've wondered this for a while, about basically sending them an email and offering to rewrite the English, like translation, the English text, and not charge for it, you know. because I really like the game, but it's a lot of it's gibberish. It's just so unintelligible. You know, I don't really know what it was saying. I mean, I get it. The basic plot, I think, is that essentially you're you as the player, the mech is like a von Neumann machine where it basically is going out and it's not. It's basically building Dyson spheres to power this center brain, which they've mentioned before, which is essentially all of humanity's uploaded itself to like the metaverse. Essentially, it's that sort of idea, and it needs power to run. But it sounds like the idea with the enemy is that some of the robots have gone rogue, basically. And so they've not gone rogue. They've become sentient. So they're intelligent. And so they, for some reason, don't give much of an explanation, but they're destroying the planets or trying to stop you or something like that. But say it uses a lot of words that I don't think it's using them right, and it's a bit unintelligible. I mean, it doesn't matter, but say I think they'll lose a lot of players if it remains a sort of gibberish, and not just gibberish because it's sci-fi, but gibberish because it's just poorly written. Let's put it that way. But it's not. It's not unsolvable, it's just that it needs someone to rewrite it who's a bit more familiar with English. Because it's just one of those problems. It's because Chinese is, differently structured language, so it doesn't... You can't just stick in... It's why, you stick in... I get it with a lot of language. You stick it into Google Translate and it comes out as completely mangled, but you can sort of get the gist. And it's just because different languages structure sentences differently. There's a lot of assumptions in spoken language, especially. Like Japanese, there's a lot that's as I understand it. I don't speak Japanese, but there's a lot that's sort of unsaid in the language that you don't have to explicitly say. It's just implied by the context. Which you get a lot in English as well, but so it's different things basically get assumed. I'm sort of hoping with these, I don't know, but I'm hoping that I might be able to join all of the belts together so that we don't have those parallel lines. I can just throw everything together, because now that I've got quite a bit of aluminium stored up, I don't mind going, to using, the max level belt. Let's turn that round. Oh, but I never said they're good. So the sort of flip side, why I thought it was going to be good, it's partly reading those articles, because it sounds like changes coming to both two of my favourite, a favourite game and a anticipated game that I think will address some of my concerns. But I also got invited to an interview, so I got another interview. It's for quite a different job. I think it's one of those where they've probably done it almost out of curiosity, and because I've had this before where you're sort of the wild card candidate, where you don't really stand a chance, but you might just go in there and blow them away, and and they were like, oh no, let's get him instead. But I'm not that great a match. It's a job I'd love to do though. I say it's sort of essentially it uses skills that I've not exercised in 15 years. So I'm sort of way out of date, and don't know the latest thinking and all that sort of stuff. So I think they're thinking, say, wildcard candidate and looking at the rest of the CV and thinking, well, maybe, you know, maybe give it a go. See if he's any good. What I am quite pleased is that on these job apps is that a lot of them are doing virtual interviews to start with. Because it was a bit of a struggle last time I was looking properly to get them to do initial... Because like that, if I was to go to their offices, it would basically be an entire day. I'd have to either do a sickie, which I hate doing, feels massively dishonest. Either pull a sickie or take the day off. And if you're the wildcard candidate who doesn't really stand a chance, that's just a gigantic waste of your day and petrol, you know, driving down there and, say, your entire day. So I used to try and get them to do phone interviews first, just to make sure, a bit like with the one I did on Friday, just to almost weed out just ones where you're not actually in with a chance. Cool, okay. You see, so we've basically done all of that level. There's another level, we'll go and work on that. I'm not sure it's quite as complete as the other. Oh, it's not even got a roof, look. Oh, that's the weird roof I was talking about. Okay. So, a question here then. Because I was thinking, it wouldn't match though, would it, if I did that? I was thinking about maybe using the beams rather than the metal beams, basically. So my big problem with these is if we put a roof thing on here, and obviously this is the extreme angle one, but if we do this, you see, it clips through. And if I put it a bit shorter, where's it gone? There it is. If I put it a bit shorter, so that, you know, it doesn't clip through, then it's short. And there's no one of these that's an angle. You know, I can do that, but it pokes out both sides. If I do that... Oh, no, actually. But why doesn't that poke out? But anyway, it's not actually connecting to the roof properly. But I did wonder if maybe I should do... Because I quite like that concrete thing where there is no roof. There is no floor, but, you know, layer. It's just straight up to the roof. I thought that was quite good. And also there's these angled walls, isn't there? Somewhere. Is it them? Tilted wall. There we go. Not entirely sure I quite understand the difference between the wall in this game. It seems to be a bit sort of... bit arbitrary in a sense. Because what's the difference between that? It would be under architect. And this. Well, it's a different angle, isn't it, I suppose? Yeah, that's a different angle. So can I change this into, given it's a wall, concrete wall? I can. What other option is there? Steel wall? Whoops. Don't know, yeah, it doesn't seem to be a lot of difference. I wonder what the angle is. If I put the roof, not that roof, a 4 metre roof, and we go to there. Well, that almost reaches to the edge, doesn't it? So it's one under. Okay. So if I put it sort of, oops, here. No, you're not gonna. There we go. No? So if this had one extra... But then I say, am I even going to put that in? So I'm just not entirely sure what to do. Because say this, I was saying before, this can actually go. It doesn't serve any real purpose. And then, what does the 2 meter roof look like? No, you're not gonna... Just gonna be weird. Okay. No? Why is that not... What? What? What are you doing? 2 meter roof. Why won't you go up there? Guess it has to connect to a wall. Then why is it blocking it? What? Okay, so it's happy with that. Okay, so that could go to there somewhere maybe. Because I could make this all glass, you see. Do I need any of this roof? Is there anything under here at all? Oh, so there's that. Then how is it going to look? Because those are the beams. Yeah, so if I can make this all glass, I could even get rid of that. Oh, hello dear Tian, how are you? And how are you? I was just saying earlier, I've kind of been on the rant, but what the heck is that purple thing over there? Not that great. So I've had a bit of a rubbish day at work on just about every level. But so I've done the moan, so I'm not going to dwell on that. It's a shame that doesn't quite match, isn't it? Because that'd be better if it was there. Have you had a good weekend? How have you been getting on? So it's just a bit of a shame that that's not quite a match. I could always have like a 1 meter wall, sort of making up the gap. Or would it be? I guess it'd be 2 meters, wouldn't it? But maybe that's the sort of cap piece to the. I should go back and work on the. Yeah, that is the sort of structural support type thing. And then it's just the glass windows. I think that's okay. So it'd be better if I could. I mean, maybe I use, because I ended up wimping out basically with the glass. It was floor, wasn't it? The glass floor. So maybe I could use this here. It can be built across there or something, or maybe it goes at the level of that. Because so this, otherwise it's just going to be a great big concrete slab. I could make it painted concrete or coated concrete because that always looks good. So otherwise it's just this like concrete slab. Anyway, let's come back to that later. What I was trying to do before I distracted myself was put in the beams because they're not aligned in the same way here. Yeah, Doctor's birthday party, other than that, just chill out. Cool. Are we talking So you don't have to answer, because don't talk to yourself or anything. We're talking young kid birthday party, or, you know, sort of teenagers or something. I suppose that kind of probably doesn't matter, because I bet both are exhausting either way. As a parent. So, well, how have I connected? So it's oops, it's not. Yeah, I've done it on the edge there, haven't I? So it's not in the middle like a normal I've done at the other factories. It's right in between two sets of you know, it's basically the connecting point of the four corners. Yeah, okay. So if I place them, oops, machine. Oh. Where's the hole I just punched? There it is. So I need to put another one of these in, I think. And then we can find architecture, that one. And it needs to go there. Now, is it going to let me place this without their... Oh yeah, okay. Yep, exhausting, turn 7. Alright, yeah. I say, I imagine they'd stay exhausted until the point where they're having a, you know, parties, you know, on their own, basically. And how's your work thing going? I know you said it was a couple of weeks until you were done with that project. Has it got any better? So if I take that there. That's gone too far. And then there. It's one short. Or am I busy for the next few weeks? Oh, okay. So is it web stuff you do? Because I think you said you're a coder. I think you said Python, is it? Is it web stuff that you do? Or... So it's like app development or websites? So you don't have to answer. I was doing this yesterday. I was asking someone all sorts of questions about their hobby. They were, well, I think actually it's like their job. They sort of made their hobby their job type of thing, or they at least have it as a business. You know, photographer. So I was asking lots of questions, but I think they wanted to, you know, chat about it. But so I said to them, if you don't want to talk about it, don't feel you need to. I'm just being nosy, basically. Right, so, next one. Yeah, web design and development, so PHP, then crossover to Python. Oh, cool. It's kind of a thing I don't about regret, but I used to do software development, and it would have been the other thing that I would have liked to have pursued as a career, I think. But because I used to develop software models, and I did at one point have the opportunity to switch over to a different company, basically the company I was contracting to, and become switch to being one of their developers. But for some reason, I felt I needed to stay loyal, because technically it was illegal for them to ask me, because there's like no poaching clauses in contracts and stuff. So how am I going to place these without the concrete down? I'm going to have to put the roof in and then take it out, aren't I? Yeah. avoid that. Right, okay. Oh, I'm not going to put it in your wall there. I'll just put it up here. So I can see. What the heck? Somebody appears to be letting off fireworks. That's bizarre. Okay. Right, fine. Because I know it's well. No, we're not actually into July yet, are we? I was going to say, I don't think it was the 4th of July thing, but it's basically the middle of the afternoon. How bizarre. How bizarre. They kind of don't need much of an excuse around here. It's one of those areas where, you know, there's a Y in the day. Let's let off some fireworks. Sort of bit trigger happy with it. I say I can't think why they would have done that. So I don't need to do them because that's not going to have power on it anyway. So we'll put this last one in. Yeah, so I sort of felt, you know, loyal to my other current, at that time, current employer, because partly also the company gone through a weird period where essentially I was the only employee left. So if I'd gone, they'd have had nobody. And I did sort of, I was getting a bit bored, if I was honest, about exactly what I was doing. But I'm sure I would have had different things, you know, different stuff to work on if I'd gone native. But yeah, it was getting a bit samey. Totally honest. So I was like, well, let's go back and see if we can do a different contract. Is that where I'm trying to put them? This is a bit tricky without the roof being here properly. Oh no. You can't zoom these, can you? No. Well, maybe I could zoom them in. Take it you've not had a chance to play much across the weekend? Have you been busy with your daughter's birthday? I didn't get a chance to do basically anything I'd intended to do. I had to clean the flat. I was quite a flat, it's a house technically, but I had to clean the house and gotten way behind with the old thumbnails and editing of the VODs, so I had to put some time into that. And that was basically the weekend. I didn't even get a chance to reply to your message. I was going to ping you back. You're still there. But, yeah, just... time got away from me like something chronic. Yeah, it's really tricky putting these in. Only half a roof. Half a roof. Half a roof. Half a roof. Oh. And like plus, only last night playing V-Rising Friends. No worries about that. So would you say, I mean, because obviously, you know, Diablo in your name, I assume you like Diablo, you know, the game, rather than the devil, the Spanish devil. So you're sort of excited for Diablo 4? Or have they sort of... Well, maybe you're a big fan, I was going to say, of making an assumption that you're not a fan of Diablo Immortal because of the whole microtransaction nonsense that ActiBliss has gone for. Maybe you are, I don't know. If you're a big fan of microtransactions. So I got the impression from the discourse that... Well, I was asking it because my understanding is that V-Rising the combat's quite Diablo-esque. And what people sort of said. Oh. What the heck was that? Yeah, they sort of revealed the Necromancer class at over the summer. Well, I'm not very happy, Blizzard, so I am uncertain if I'll part money with them again, yeah. And they've said that 4 is more traditional, haven't they, in the sense of, you know, buy a game and get the game type of thing, but I can't see them resisting the temptation to cram it full of some, if not cram it, then at least have some microtransactions in there. I mean, obviously, there was that not particularly great... Wait. Oh, there is this one halfway, isn't there? Because there's the lights. There's the lights. Must be there. Oh, I'm going to have to put the things in anyway to mount the lights on them. Yeah. I put an awful lot of concrete in, given I don't want to have a concrete roof again. I mean, I'm guessing. You know, I kind of assume that people. I mean, I know it's quite aimed at China, isn't it? I think that's a big reason they do these mobile games. Although, as I understand it, it didn't actually get approved, Diablo Immortal, in China, so I think they suspected that maybe, and that's why it came out on PC as well. Yeah, I assume that's kind of why they do it, and it becomes a bit irrelevant, the fact that, you know, the Western audience decries it, sort of thing. But also, people must buy them, because these games make a fortune. So I suppose the risk-reward question is the old, well, okay, yeah, we annoy our core audience, but enough people, you know, will buy the microtransactions anyway to make it a profitable thing to do. Let's touch that there. Did I hook all of these up? No, I didn't, did I? Doing this a bit haphazard. One of the things I can't work, because obviously there's the whole thing that, you know, Microsoft buying ActiBliss. And I think a lot of people have sort of kind of assumed that that'll clean up the act. But if the old, it's a bit weird actually. It doesn't seem to have been much like re-reporting of it. There was a Kotaku article a couple of weeks ago about basically crunch at Bethesda. But it doesn't seem to have quite... Because when when you got a lot of previous ones, those sort of articles, they got all re-reported on all the, talking head YouTube channels, and this one doesn't for some reason. It's like people didn't really care about this one for some reason. Very strange. Where was I going with that? But part of the thing that article said is that the Microsoft ownership had, in fact, they deliberately said to them, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't change anything on our account, sort of thing. Because people were apparently hoping that it would mean better benefits. Because Microsoft employees have amazing benefits. I think they were hoping they would get access to some of them. And in reality, they've literally been told, nah, you're not getting any of that. So I sort of wonder, with the possible exception of Mr. Kotick, whether basically ActiveLiz will continue as is if Microsoft purchase does go through. If they've not touched Bethesda, and see them as the goose that lays the golden egg. And given the amount of money that Activision makes, it's difficult to see them applying a different set of priorities. Gambling about the prizes pixels. Problem is, this is also targeted children. Yeah, I say a lot of them are pretty awful. Pretty dang awful. I sort of thought they'd run... I mean, I guess it's because it's a mobile game, and mobile games didn't really seem to factor into the conversation, but I thought a lot of companies had rode back a bit on the microtransaction stuff. And loot box type, not microtransactions full stop, but the loot boxes, say, mobile doesn't seem to have properly factored into the conversations about that. I need to put that in, aren't I? Because it needs to be anchored to this. I basically put the entire roof in, even though I didn't want to. Because this needs to line up with this. Never really kind of been a gambler. I don't know. I sort of... There's certain things that I sort of... How can I put it? They cause like a knot in my stomach. So certain types of tension are just not pleasant, if that makes sense. So, a bit like waiting to find out exam results and stuff like that, and gambling always triggered that type of sensation for me. And a few times I've sort of tried it. Just don't find it a pleasant sensation. It's never really quite understood, why people get addicted to that. It's like I can understand getting addicted to, alcohol and drugs and stuff. Because, the sensations they induce are pleasant. But for me personally, the gambling one is just doesn't feel very good at all. I guess affects other people in different ways. Right, what am I looking for? I'm looking for steel. Guess some caterium as well. Yeah, let's just top it off. Steely, steely, steel. Steely, steel. Steely, steely, steel. There we go, loads of steel. Let's get that. So, I think more is spent on mobile gambling than console and PC. Yeah, it's enormous. It's like, yeah. I say, a lot of it is sort of the Chinese market, as I understand it. I know it does seem to be a big thing in, you know, those cultures, shall we say, sort of Chinese and I think, you know, Japanese as well. Sort of really big gambling cultures. Because obviously, pachinko's a famous one in Japan. It looks like the most tedious. In terms of being a game, it looks like the most tedious thing you could possibly imagine. Because it's one of those ball drop type games. You know, it's just like pinball, basically. As the actual game, it's sort of so uninteresting. But it's like slots. I just don't understand the appeal of slots. It's not actually fun, surely. Okay, so different strokes for different folks, I guess. But yeah, I can see why loot boxes are addictive. Even though gambling itself just has no appeal, because it's that thing of that games are incredibly good at, of micro dopamine rewards, where it's just like all the flashing lights go off on the buzzers and the, you know, celebratory noises and the, say something, games are just amazingly good at. So you just almost want that next fix. So I do sort of see the appeal of that. I say for me, it just causes like a knot in my stomach. It's any kind of, will I get it? Won't I get it? Will I get it? Won't I get it? Oh. That's in the wrong place, isn't it? Should be there. It's better. Okay, let's plug these all in. But yeah, I mean, mobile gaming is huge. It's like dwarfs. I think, you know, both of them combined is not even half of it. And as you say, the vast majority of it is, like the vast majority of it is basically, you know, gambled. You know, it's random chance. Spin the spinner. Get the reward. Makes me wonder, that sort of thing, where it, in a sense, comes from biologically. I guess there must be an element somewhere of... because always the thing, it's like, you know, from a biological point of view, why would anyone take a risk? Particularly a sort of a life impacting risk. You know, why isn't everyone inherently conservative about such things? Because then there's no chance of you dying. You know. But of course, with risk comes reward. So has to be something to do with that. Of maybe if you try this berry on this bush, it'll have way more nutrients than, you know, the roots you've been eating. But it might also kill you. So, you know, do you give it a go or not? I guess it's the same route as that. I say, why have all of that risk-reward system in your head? If it doesn't have some biological advantage somewhere. So I read a thing that it's the sort of the shark bait theory, I think it's called something like that, where there has to be a certain proportion of your population that will get in the sea, even though they've just seen, you know, somebody get eaten by a shark, because the reward of finding a new island that you can, you know, colonise type of thing outweighs the risk of becoming shark bait. But you don't want everyone to be wired like that, otherwise, you know, they all jump in the sea and the sharks have a very good feast. So it's only a small proportion. But say, given so many people are affected by the whole gambling thing, it's got to be something a bit more prevalent than that. I'm taking this out. I bet I've got to end up having to put it back in again. Adrenaline rush, yeah. I say, but that's the same thing. I don't enjoy adrenaline rushes. You see, so I'm kind of, I must be, you know, wired differently. I don't enjoy that sensation. But clearly, you know, enough people do that. So these are floating at the moment. What I thought I might do, is that going to be worth it? Might do with these ones, unlike the other factory, the concrete factories, is do the beams across and maybe try and use, because I haven't really used these, the metal beams. Where can I put this that would be, if I lined it up with that? Oh, are you going to be weird, are you? There we go. Be better in the middle, wouldn't it? So if I line it up with the slatty little bits there, it won't go all the way, so... Did I get a game of this Steam Summer Sale? Yeah, I unfortunately succumbed. I got 3 games actually. I'm gonna do my in my defence bit. It's a complete lie basically, but basically all 3 games, including a DLC, only added up to £4. DLC being a sort of expansion for one of them. I got, I mean, has it finished the Steam thing? I might still get some, but basically one of them is like a point and click puzzly game that I know will only take a a couple of hours, basically. It's a very small, like, narrative puzzle game, basically. Perfect for my Steam Deck, basically. And it's by someone... It's like the first game of someone whose game I tried at WASD. And it's all sort of... It's a bit sort of wacky and Tim Burton-y, I guess. I quite like a bit of goth every now and then. But the other one was a game called... I think it's called Hard West. I keep mixing it up because the Wild West seems to have become... I haven't actually looked what these look like. Oh, I quite like that, actually. That's quite good. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, they... I played the demo of the sequel to this game, Hard West, at EGX... sorry, WASD. And really enjoyed it. It's basically like XCOM, or the sequel is. From what the reviews say, it doesn't quite have some of the mechanics I enjoyed in the demo. But basically, it's an XCOM style game, and say the sequel has the mechanic like in the Gears of War XCOM game, where if you make a kill, it restores action points. So you can go on like killing streaks, basically. So I don't know that the first one has that in, but it was literally, I say, including the DLC, it was like £1.50 or something. So I can, even if I try it and I don't think it's quite lives up to the sequel. It's no great shakes, basically. And then what was the other thing I bought? Hard West. A buried one. What was the... Oh! I also... another game I played at Opus was... I can't remember what it's specifically called. There's a whole set of visual novel type games. Not birthy ones, but like, narrative things. And I tried that at WASD and really liked it. So again, and it's about 6 games in the series, so this was the first one. It was on like super duper cheap. So it's literally £1 sort of thing. Oh. Is mouse there? So did... Huh. I can't see Mouse's chat. Did they withdraw it? Are you there, Mouse? What the heck have I done there? Oh, sorry, I can't see your chat, Mouse. I said I don't know if you withdraw it. Final Fantasy VII, the original, or I presume the remake. I'll probably pick that up when it's like, £5 or something. I don't think I could face. Or maybe once they put them all out and there's a super bundle, because they're only doing 3, aren't they? They've sort of said. I was a bit worried it would go, because it's what's his face who does the complete gibberish that is Kingdom Hearts. Oh, there's a square of water up there. This is some weird effect that happens, basically, because I'm too far out, and it doesn't load in the texture at all. So you just get this weird soup-like texture, and there's a little bit of water on there. Let's put them all over here. Remake. Yeah. So that's like over 100 hours, isn't it? So, I mean, you've got to imagine that the next 2 are 100 hours each. So it's like 300 hours worth of game. I mean, I ended up having it spoiled for me as well. I didn't, because I've not got PlayStation or anything, so I didn't sort of avoid spoilers as to what happens. But I don't think that matters in that sort of game. It's more about the playing of the game rather than the exact story beats. But were you? I mean, did you play? Did you play the original back in the day, or is it just a more spur of the moment thing, or maybe a Kingdom Hearts fan? I can't remember his name. Already, I'm not. I sort of Disney's okay. I'm not a big. Some people go nuts for it, don't they? I'm not actually that fussed. In terms of the sort of short cartoons and cartoon characters, I was more of a Warner Brothers. You know, instead of Mickey Mouse, I prefer your Bugs Bunnies and that. But you kind of can't avoid Disney nowadays, can you? It's funny because back when, I mean, I like Aladdin and stuff. That was sort of my era that I think with a lot of people, you know, yeah, Lion King and all those sorts of things. Say they've sort of become ubiquitous, but back then, with that period, Aladdin and all those, they almost went bankrupt. In fact, it's nearly gone bankrupt a couple of times, Disney. Now, for sure, but I played the majority of Final Fantasy games. Okay. Are you looking forward to the new one? It's not really grabbed me. If I'm totally honest, it's sort of a lot of flash and spectacle to the trailers, but I kind of don't. I suppose it's a really big part of the combat, but there's something more interesting from a character point of view. And I'm saying that I didn't really watch the Final Fantasy event, so maybe they went into it there. But oh no, where are you misaligned? You're misaligned on that. Check. It's gone really. It's been a bit cold today, so I haven't got the windows open. It's gone really hot in this room. Oh, I haven't done all of these. So apologies if I'm a bit sweaty. So there's something quite zen about doing this. But I really wish there was a blueprint or a copy and paste system. Okay, this one's not... Why are you not working? Because there's no recipe. I like that you can now copy and paste them from outside machines. That's quite a nice little touch. But that one's not... What about it's connected to power? I had Spectrum and Sega Mega Drive during my youth, but always went over to friends to play on the SNES. Yeah, basically the same. Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually have a Mega Drive. We had a Specky. No, we didn't. We had an Amstrad. My mate across the road had a Specky. Is that right? Yeah, we had I had an Amstrad, and then an Amiga 500. Wasted so many hours playing Tetris on the Game Boy. Yeah, same here. It's embedded in my brain, that music. We played multiplayer one because you play in VR as well. It's one of the ones I want to give a go in VR. I bought a Quest 2. I'll be honest, I barely used it. I actually struggled a bit with it. I think I'm going to have to get contact lenses maybe or something like that. Because it's really kind of uncomfortable to wear. Just that one bit missed. It's just that bit missed. Right, I need to colour in these beams. Is this the colour? Yeah. Actually, that's not far enough up, is it? Seven beams. Yums. No, I played because Final Fantasy VII was PlayStation 1, so I played that when I was at university. Because I had, yeah, so I went. No, I didn't go. So I had Amstrad, Amiga. No, that needs to be black. That one. Amiga, then a PlayStation 1, and then PC. I very briefly owned a Wii. And I've got an Xbox One. But I got that, to be totally frank, more because of the DVD player. My DVD crapped out. And I got it for the DVD player. But yeah, basically, after university, got my first PC and kind of haven't really looked back to a degree. Why are you not active? Because you're not got a recipe either. It's when Atari were at the peak. Yeah, good old Atari. Well, I suppose that technically the first one would be the Atari 2600 then, but that was my dad's from when before he had us kids, basically. But, yeah, I had an Atari 2600, which had the panel on it of like faux wood, you know, plastic print with wood printed on it to make it look like a proper bit of furniture. I was actually trying to look up because there's, I don't know if you know I wanted to get a EverQuest. That doesn't sound right. Is it an EverQuest? There's basically like a handheld. Well, there's a. They've done like an actual console. And this is like a new version of that as well coming out soon. It looks blooming expensive. I wanted to get an EverQuest. I was trying to look up because there's a game I remember from the 2600. But I can't remember what it was. So I was trying to look it up, but it's incredibly difficult. Like looking for games when all you've got is like a you know, a vague memory of what it even was. I think I eventually found it. I can't remember what it's called now, but it was like a game you used to be a tank. You were a tank, and it was like a 2-player game. Oh, I think actually 4-player. But particularly remember it because I just used to completely dominate my sister. I just used to basically scream the house down because I'd just wipe her out continuously. But the trick was depending on what mode you played it in, the tank shells would bounce around, a bit like Pong or something. And so it would have a maze, and so you'd basically just bounce the balls to try and hit the other tank. That's basically what you'd be doing. And she could never get the hang of it. And so it's basically the cause of some of the most aggressive arguments, shall we say, when I was a kid. It goes me because I was watching someone doing a stream of the EverQuest, and so it just popped into my head that what the heck was that game? Because sometimes I wonder if I imagine some of these things. Also had a Panasonic 3DO and Dreamcast, which did not do very well in the end. No, the Dreamcast was a bit of a flop, wasn't it, I think? So I've never really been much of a console gamer. I mean, the honest truth is we were never that well off as a family. And I only ever managed to convince sort of, you know, the purchase of a computer to do work on, you know, to do homework and that sort of thing. Which I did actually do, because it's kind of where I learned to do a bit of programming. Oh, that's one missed there. Mum used to use it for word processing and all that sort of stuff, so it did get used for that purpose. But say, convincing them to get a pure games machine was a little bit too far. A bit of a stretch, you know. Not like I'm playing, you know, we weren't that bad off. I had Transformers and stuff, so I'm not... And Star Wars figures and all that, so I wasn't decrying poverty too much, but... Games consoles were probably a bit of an ask too far, you know. Why does that look like that's on the wrong way around? We shall soon see. Yeah, they got me an Acre PC that got super mad at the dial-up internet. Yeah. I remember that. Crikey. Not with an Acorn, but when I moved, you know. Well, when my first job, I say, is when I got a PC, and used to basically dial into chat rooms. MIRC and AOL AOL Messenger. And yeah, you're basically just making a gigantic phone call. And you know, I kind of knocked it on the head when I got it was £100 phone bill, something like that. Because you do it, and I mean, yeah, I'm dialing up to go on the internet, you know. Taking 20 minutes to download just a picture that you'd think that you'd classify as a thumbnail now. If anyone ever says it was better in the old days, they were wrong. It's way better now. That's what got my into PC building land code. Same here actually. I say. Coding really, I did sort of learn some of the basics with Amstrad, but certainly PC building, I got quite into that, case modding and that sort of thing. I had that first PC. I remember once I did a project basically to make a network basically with I say this was like an unfeasible amount of storage at the time, but a gigabyte of total hard drive space. I think, was it a gigabyte or was it a terabyte? No, it must have been a terabyte, because the hard drives at the time would, like, you know, the biggest sort of ones you could get were sort of 30 gig. Is that right? That must be right. And so, I built all these rigs, basically. I didn't have any purpose for it. I mean, all the hard drives were second-hand and stuff. I didn't spend that much money on it. But yeah, I remember, it was this whole big project. People on the forum I was on were following along. So it must have been a gigabyte. A terabyte. But yeah, it was. It was either a megabyte or a gigabyte rather, or a terabyte. Type of, and you have files that are a megabyte in it. It's just commonplace, And if you record a video in, an hour-long video, it's like 5 gigabytes. as I say. It was something that seemed ridiculous at the time. And now you can basically just go and buy it, you know, on a micro SD card now. Do we have BBC computers in school? No, so not. My primary school didn't have any computers at all. That was basically pre-computer almost. Not, I mean, it wasn't. You know, there were computers, but primary schools didn't have computers at all. But no, the computers at my secondary school were PCs, so they would have been 386s. I think that's about right. Yeah, I think it would have been a 386. Because then by the time I bought my PC, we were into Pentiums. I think Pentium 2 maybe was my first PC. It wasn't. It was a, you know, fully pre-built system. But after a sort of couple of years, I tore it apart to see how it worked, and put it back together. And so that got me into the bug of building PCs. So again, it's one of those things that it's gotten so easy, which is a good thing. I'm not saying that in any way is a bad thing. It's so easy to build a PC now. Everything just plugs in. You don't have to fiddle about with jumpers, and if you want to overclock, you can just do it from a, you know, couple of clicks, or there's apps that, you know, do it for you. You know, on the desktop. Which is all a good thing, I'm not saying in any way, saying people find saying about that a bad thing. But I remember it was obviously pre-LED type, you know, addressable LED type days, and putting all sorts of strange lighting sets, you know, rigs in acrylic cases and stuff, and plumbing them in and blowing the power and all that good stuff. I just think nowadays is cable management. Yeah. I guess there's still a bit of a trick to some water cooling, isn't there? But you can even buy like pre-made sets. I remember doing my first water cooling rig. Scared the bejesus out of me. Lost count of the number of times I was checking hose pipe connections and all this sort of stuff. It's really stuttery, isn't it? It's because, as I say, I get to a point as I move down the base where it either flips to loading different textures in, or not loading textures in, or dumping textures. So that's why it stutters so badly. So, because it does that. There'll probably be a patch that will stop your building out here, and then I won't be able to get into my factory. Right. How are we doing? So that's all that sort of hooked up. Should we fiddle with the roof? The roof is on fire. Okay. So let's get rid of this one. That. And that goes there. So I do need to be a little careful in that I'm going to have some form of access. Obviously, if I can jetpack for the time being. So I can get rid of all of this, certainly. This out. And I think I might just leave this concrete layer here as a sort of a reference point. Also as a point of access. That out. Oh, I modded. I don't know if you saw. I think maybe you've gone. I don't know, but I did mod your. Oh, I didn't do it on Discord. Nuts. I did. Added you on as a mod, so you have the power to ban bots now. Basically, that's probably all you'll be dealing with. I say a person who suggested, someone suggested putting a filter on for the phrase they keep using. So hopefully there won't even be that. Yes, and if any miscreants turn up. It was really simple, actually. In fact, weirdly simple. It's basically just do it via the username. You can just, person in chat, you can just click on the thing. It's just an option there. So I was expecting it to be a lot more difficult. Just add the option. Okay, so yeah, looks like I'm gonna need that as a spacer, I think. I shouldn't have done that, should I? Because these don't... Wait, these don't have... Oh, I never put the lights in. Why did I not put the lights in? I've put virtually none of the lights in. Oh, I know I put them all a different way round. Huh. Yeah. Just completely forgot to put the lights in. Oh well, let's put them in then. Have to put all that concrete back in. Oh, check me. Yeah, say. I was going to reply to you on the other thing, but I didn't even get a chance to reply to an email my dad sent me. So busy. With the prop. Oh right, I'm putting them alternate way round. Okay. Problem I had at work today. I will have to look for a job. Might not become quite as optional. I don't think I'll get sacked, but I say it did not go well today. It did did not go well. And I thought they might offer me their... because I think I mentioned this before, my boss handed in his notice, which was what kind of prompted me to... oh, they're not aligned. What have I done wrong there then? I'm doing well here. Which is to say, not very well. Wait, is it misaligned from the very first one? I bet it is, isn't it? No, it was me being an idiot. So where does that line up then? Oh, I put them on the crack rather than the thing. Okay. Been doing all sorts of weird stuff here, haven't I? No, that's still messing up. What the heck have I done wrong here? What is going on here? Because it's the thing that... ah! That's the problem. It's this side that's wrong. So this should be here. Ah. Yeah, better do another one. Jeez. Sounds like a Hoover, this, when you fly around. Okay, hopefully I've not messed it up that time. He says discovering he's messed it up that time. So this is the aspect of the game where I've sort of decided to try and do, as it were, because you could obviously throw a lot of this together just in a giant, you know, mess, or you know, spaghetti belts and all that sort of stuff, but I'm starting to feel a bit sort of disillusioned with the game. It's quite the right phrase, but just sort of wasn't. I was losing inspiration with it when I stopped playing after the FICSIT event. Watched a few videos of people who had made attractive new factories and stuff. Kind of inspired me a bit. Not that these are anything compared to what other people make. Outcaterium, okay. But I don't think they were too bad. problem now has just been the grind, really. Getting it all done. What else wouldn't be needed for ceiling lights? Wire, okay. L grind, eh? Thought I might get belts done or started as well, but I don't know if I will get to that today. Go. Okay. I've become a bit... Ooh. Random weird ceiling piece. Become a bit of a big fan of the hover. Took me ages to build it, but yeah, I'm a bit of a fan. Right, oh, and that's okay. Why those two were missed? They were. That seems too close. Is it there? So it's that sort of distance there. Oh. Oh. Auto save. Yeah, looks about the same, I think. Oh, I didn't talk about that, so I say. Dyson Sphere Pro put a post out about the combat. I say, other than my other thought, other than the confusingness of the translation, was that it mentions both ground and air forces. Yeah, I'd have to put this blooming concrete back in that I've just taken out. Which I was not expecting. I was expecting it to be all like... I'm using air as a synonym for space, but I was expecting it all to be aerial, that effectively the sort of enemies would sweep in and like bomb your facilities or something, and you'd have to construct air, you know, air defences basically. But it does specifically say ground combat. Yeah, I think that's about the same. Which I don't know, I keep flip-flopping back and forth on what I think about the combat. Apologies. It sounds like they're effectively going to be like an enemy player, effectively, so they're going to be capturing resources and expanding and all that sort of stuff as well. So they're going to be taking over planets and all that sort of stuff. So I guess what they're going for is more of a time pressure thing, but it gives more of an impetus to get on with the combat, get on with the building, you know, get on with it sort of thing. Which kind of suggests that having a standardised set of blueprints that you can plop down and, you know... Oh. Some idiot has taken out all this concrete. What an idiot. Oh, let's just do this road first. What a complete idiot. I decided to use the excuse that, because I still haven't gone back to blooming Demon Hunter and Total War 3. But I think I've got a fairly legitimate excuse with Total War 3 because it was clearly released before it was ready. Because there's so much that they're adding and tweaking in terms of balance in particular in the patches that game was not ready for release. I mean, not in a buggy sense, but in the balance was just all wrong. And the whole thing they've done in it with that gap seems bigger. It's very difficult to measure these things, isn't it? So it's sort of half a concrete there. Yeah, half a concrete there. Half a concrete there. Maybe half concrete there. Let's put the concrete in. No. Yeah, it was clearly not ready. Because the sort of system they've used for like the flow of the game, basically. Feels different. I not quite see why. They've like tweaked it, but not really tweaked it, like completely overhauled it several times now. So I don't think it was like fully, play tested and ready, really. I say not from a balance point of view. Oh, I've run out of wire now. I thought I had loads of wire. So yeah, I'm using that as my excuse why I've not played that. So there's another big patch coming, a couple of months, that completely overhauls it again. Even adds regiments of renown, which is a thing that usually would have gone in a lot earlier. I don't sort of, I don't sort of mind in the sense that, there's been a blooming pandemic. It's not, but it's a video game. It's not a problem. But so, wait, what did I do there? What? To some extent, some of them, they should have embraced more of an early access approach. If they call it beta or whatever, then fine. Where did that wire go? Did it just not transfer over? Yeah, I guess maybe they worried people would be, upset or whatever. Some people get a bit carried away. Right. I mean, technically it's coming up to ending time, but I'm probably going to go a bit longer, to be honest with you. Actually leave that bit. The design of these make it very difficult to tell, you know, the light there. You can't... all the other machines, or most of the other machines, you can see them. But here you can't unless you're right up close, because this thing gets right in the way. Okay, so let's re-delete that concrete. Whoops. I need to have something going across. Oops, across. Otherwise, those are just floating, aren't they? I think I might take the roof out again because it's a bit difficult to work. But I'll put this bit in. I wonder if I can make that in metal or something. Because I don't think you can do it as glass. So, if I was to try and put a beam across here... Whoops. Crikey. What would that look like? So, I could do that again. And that's a perfect distance, actually. But it goes up to there, you see. Rather than sort of here. If it was there... No, it would float above them, wouldn't it? Yeah. It's really crunchy. If I'm just stood in a bit that's particularly bad. Go with that, I'm going to have to go right the way across, aren't I then? Not really a fan of that. Oh, maybe I can, if I touch it to that, does that achieve the effect I was after? Still goes into there, doesn't it? Maybe I just leave it poked into the wall. Yeah, because I need to put a little extra piece on there. Sort of even it up anyway. But not quite yet, I don't think. Oh dear. Should have done that. Let's just do one at a time then. Play ball. Yeah, I think that looks okay connected to that. And sort of overlapping these, like these beams are suspended from those beams. And it gives me a chance to also use... Oh no, I'm not doing that bit, am I? But if I can then use maybe this double beam connector? No? How do I get that? Can you go vertical? Oh, that's a bit disappointing. Is there a vertical beam connector? Because I haven't used these either. I quite like to use these beam supports, but as you can see, they sort of poke out the end in a lot of places. So can I... How would you do that as a vertical thing? Maybe we can have one there. And one there. Oh, that looks okay. Cool. Oh, dearie me. Oh. Right, so, coming up to close time, I think. Or end time, rather. 7 o'clock. What are we doing? So, I did not update the schedule. Yet another thing I didn't get time for. But that's it for today. So basically, basically just been working on the concrete factory, trying to get it closer to finish. The big thing we've not done is, and partly because I've been fiddling about cosmetics, is the hidden underfloors. They're not done at all. Obviously, I need connectors on these. And this one in particular is going to get quite complicated because I'm going to need 2 lots of input. Obviously there's trains, and I mean there's loads and loads and loads left to do. Yeah, quite like that look of that wall there. And we can have like another, a bit like I did on the other one, sort of a... No, you're not going to connect to that? Okay. Why you be weird? Why you be weird? So a thing going across there. Again, I might make it all glass on this at this location. And whether I go, I don't know if I'm going to go. Whoops. I'm going to go full on mega angle because that doesn't connect, does it? That's interesting that that doesn't connect. I wonder if a flat piece would connect across. Would that angle work? So if we had... it's under architecture, isn't it? So we had a flat piece. Does that connect the two? Oh, it does! Oh, that might be quite cool. Because I want to put these on the roofs. The radars. I want to put them on the roof. The roof is over there. So what does it look like? I'm getting carried away again. What does it look like? Invalid customers. Oh no, is that a wall? That's a wall, isn't it? That's not a roof. That's a wall, not a roof. Don't I have a 4 metre? There is a 4 metre roof. Where does that meet? Why do I put a wall on it? So I'm not quite sure I get the point though. The roofs. The roofs. So that would be, I guess, those two becoming flat pieces. Yeah, like that. Which is better because that fits more, you know, more better. More better good. Could leave that as one of the metals, maybe, or... Because I haven't used tar roofs yet either, but we could use that one. I like it, I like it. And so the annex for the aluminium needs to be over this side. So we can make it look like, because I should really have that poking out one. As if, you know, to shed rain away from the building. The same here. Or this sheds it onto the other roof at least. Does this poke out one already? Yeah. Awesome, awesome. Right, so yes, end of the stream. So I didn't update the schedule, but basically next week is the British Grand Prix, and while I'm not going because I can't afford to, I will be watching it live because it's all on Channel 4 for there's like an agreement with Sky that this is the one race they get to host live or get to show live. So I'll be watching all the coverage. I don't know when it ends. Actually, I don't know whether it's probably going to affect the Saturday and Sunday streams, the start times. So Saturday will probably be only later if there's a red flag or something like that. It should end by 3. The race, though, is probably going to be overlapping that Sunday slot there. So basically the Sunday stream will probably start later. Saturday stream probably start at the same time, but also probably not, because there's bound to be some kind of red flag. Because I think there has been at every single qualifying this year. But yeah, so this is the normal schedule, not necessarily the schedule for next week. I will update it, fingers crossed, if I get the time, for next Friday. But basically, Friday and Monday are the Satisfactory days when I stream this series. We're still going to keep ploughing on. Probably next weekend I will be tackling aluminium. I'm sure I'll get time to sort of at least do the prettying up of this factory. And then it's just the belts basically, which is fine. Saturday we will be doing Crash Story 2 again. I had it running today, and in the background I wasn't playing it, but I was upgrading, belts and all those modules, so it at least produces a bit more. I think I'm going to have to scale everything up properly. I'm going to have to do separate factories, because the amount of science packs you need just goes through the roof basically. And I don't fancy just doing streams where I'm sat there waiting for it to do the thing. And I don't quite understand the power thing. The power thing does seem to ramp up, but I don't think it's bothered about if it takes, if it's not got all the power it needs, it just charges slower. But yeah, so we may have to do some outsourced type factories, which would be interesting, but I wasn't quite anticipating doing that. Sunday we'll be probably continuing the Blueprint series. I got quite into doing that, and I really do want to test those blueprints. So we may well do that continuously for the next few weeks rather than the aesthetic series. Just because, basically. So if you wanted to follow me at all, if you're watching on the VOD or you're just new, then that's my Twitch channel there, so Trismegistus. I have a YouTube channel, which is Trismegistus again, but alias to Triggles. All of the VODs go up there, so if you wanted to watch any of the VODs of any of my series, Satisfactories, various Factorio, Dyson Sphere Program, they're all up on there. And Twitter is the same, Trismegistus alias to Triggles. I basically post when I'm going live. And then there's a Discord. The intention of the Discord is to do some multiplayer. There's a few regulars who have contacted me about doing that, and I am interested in doing it. I'd like to do one of the streams at least as a multiplayer thing, but unfortunately I've got quite a lot on in real life. I'm job hunting, so I don't have a lot of time. So that's just a placeholder basically. So if you want to join it in the anticipation that we'll do some of that, then as soon as I can, we will properly kick that off. So yeah, so that's all me. That's all my stuff. That's all my self-promotion stuff. Cool. Yes, so I shall see you on next Friday. yeah, so if you've been watching, I hope you've enjoyed it, and you might consider coming back for another. I've been Trismegistus. This has been Satisfactory. Thanks for watching. Cheers.